We have Alien, and this is kind of a card of just be yourself, be comfortable in your own skin. We have the Automaton, which is kind of I get the feeling that it is kind of like elements of swords and pentacles, where it's like practicality and just kind of doing what you need to do. You've got here the Bat, which kind of is about having to use your senses other than your sight to see what's going on around you. You have this Bewitched Cauldron, and I think it has to do with like different abilities that you have and putting those all together. You have this adorable black cat here, what has to do with kind of just embracing the mysteries. You have this blob here, which is going through this mansion and sucking up everything, even this cat, this jack-o'-lantern. And it's basically a card to indicate that, along the way you kind of pick up things as you go, and it's up to you to decide what defines who you are. You have this carnivorous plant here that's eaten a person. And this is a card of kind of doing what you need to do to survive, protect yourself. You have this Charmed Tea, another card by Selena French, which I think is just adorable. All these sweet things, these desserts, kind of to remind you to enjoy the sweeter things in life. You have this clown that's on the stage with this wilting rose and a clown in the back over here, which is kind of talks about the masks that we wear to hide emotions, feelings. We have the Cursed Carousel, which is about breaking patterns or just recognizing patterns. The Death's Head Moth, which is about fears and how those can alter your perception of reality. You've got this demon here who has decided to wear the mask of a blonde hair, blue-eyed person. And this is a card of ego and kind of having you recognize what is it that you do, who you're trying to impress or fool. You have the Eldritch Horror, which has to do with, I believe, your emotions. This card, the meaning for this card and the illustration was something that I don't really kind of grasp intuitively, so it's not resonating with me right now. You've got the Enchanted Grimoire, which is about learning and knowledge, enlightenment. You have the Enchanted Lamp that kind of indicates you can use your own internal light to light your path. You have this Eyeball that has to do with clarity. You have this Fae card here that has to do with truth. There's a white eye and a red eye, and both can kind of see through what's false and needing to kind of really recognize, at least with this card, when this shows up, there's no gray area. It's just wrong or right, black or white. Here we have this Gargoyle, and I believe this has to do with perhaps protecting other people. That one I have to double check as well. We have this Ghost card, and I don't know if that really resonated with me. I love ghosts, so the fact that I can't remember exactly what this is, I think it was a little bit of a stretch for me. This Ghoul card, though, I thought was really neat in terms of the features of this Ghoul. It's got these muscles and teeth and a lack of nose and long fingers, and it kind of indicates that this Ghoul adapts to its environment to survive. And so it's this card about how do you adapt? What is it that you how do you adapt to your life, your experiences? You have this goblin, which to me is like the Seven of Swords, where this person is, or this goblin is trying to tempt someone along the way. And it kind of is a card warning whether or not, if you are trying to take shortcuts or you're trying to get somewhere too fast, just to be sure that you recognize the potential dangers or tricks along the way. Here you have this hag card, and you've got this prisoner down here, and this is supposed to be like a transformation of an old hag. And once they eat, I'm assuming, aspects of another prisoner, then they kind of get, energized and turn into a younger hag. And this card kind of indicates like that to recognize that people are all going through something in their life, and whether or not you want to kind of take advantage of that or try to empathize. That's kind of your call, but I think it's more kind of recognizing that maybe taking an understanding approach to things might make a situation better or end a cycle of something that's bad. Here we have the haunted clock, and it kind of talks about time, where people might keep putting off something till the next day or tomorrow, but a start of a new day doesn't erase the fact that you're kind of taking time for granted. You have this haunted house card here, and honestly, it's kind of, I forget what this card is about. So I guess it didn't really clearly resonate with me. Maybe it has to do with fears and facing your fears. You have this imp card here with all these like sweet treats here. And I think this might be a card of having fun and enjoying yourself, or it could be about temptations. I have to take a look at this again. You have the invisible one with wearing these clothes, and it's supposed to be like water. So again, I feel like I need to take a look again at what the meanings were, because it's just not necessarily intuitive. I think this has to do with how you kind of present yourself and the clothes that you put on to protect yourself. Here we have the mad scientist, kind of think outside of the box, go with that zany idea. You have the monstrous hand, which indicates a sense of strength. And I'm assuming that's because this hand has, it's just a hand. It's kind of severed from whatever it used to be attached to, but has this great jewelry and adornment and kind of ready to take action. So even though a severed hand might not seem like it indicates strength, it's supposed to kind of be reflective of that. You have this moon spirit, which kind of, I believe has to do with feeling of like being watched or overseeing things. And again, this wasn't like the typical description of moon. I do think it does have to do with like emotions or illusions, but honestly, I can't remember right now. And I just looked at these like twice the other day. So here with this mummy card, this has to do with kind of recognizing what physical surroundings or rituals that you need to kind of feel at home or like kind of celebrate who you are. Here with this nightmare card, it's supposed to be about fears and anxieties. It's somehow different than the Death's Head Moth, where that had to do with like making sure that your fears and anxieties don't kind of alter your sense of reality. This one, it might be just to make sure that they don't overtake you, but they're very similar to me. You have this ominous tree card, and I believe this has to do with kind of being brave and kind of facing things that are scary. You have the Onryo card, which is this like Japanese-based idea of a spirit or a demon, and basically it's to make sure you're not like holding in your like rage. That's my cat in the background crying because he's in a cage because he broke his leg. You can see him here. I'm watching him next to me. He's not supposed to he has his cone on because he's got his stitches in, and he's going to get it out in a few days, but he hates wearing it. So yeah, there's this card where basically kind of indicates if you kind of hold in anger and rage, then it kind of just festers and turns into something not amazing. You have this owl card, which I believe has to do with like wisdom and knowledge, as do most owl cards. Here, finally, the puppet card. So I think this has to do, you can see this puppet is cutting the strings off, and this has to do with kind of recognizing whether or not there's someone who is pulling your strings or has control over you. Here you have this rat with all these candies, and it's kind of like a card of abundance and living the good life. Other people's junk is this rat's treasure. You have this raven card, which indicates communication and people in your tribe. This shadow card here kind of indicates like the shadow side of self, looking at aspects. It's kind of like the devil card in tarot. Here, this skeleton is in this yoga card, and it's a card of peace and like acceptance. This snake card here is pretty similar to the death card in tarot, transitions, transformations, and it's not necessarily pretty or easy or quick. Here you have this sorcerer, and it's similar to concept of like the magician. You have the spectral knight, and I believe this is about kind of, I think this is a card of like protection, that you kind of have to like protect yourself, I believe. This one I have to double check as well. Here with this spider card, it's got this web in this jar that it's put together, and this insect's coming in here. And this is a card of like doing what you need to do to kind of survive. It's not always pretty, or it's not always something you want to put on social media, but it's, you know, what you need to do it to get by. With this Stitch doll, it is a card of like accepting your flaws, accepting the good parts of you, the not so good parts of you, the experiences that you've been through. Because if you don't accept it, if you kind of, you can let it kind of take on its own power. And that's why the image in this mirror of this doll doesn't really reflect what is sewn on the face of this other doll. It's more like, it's like more of a monstrosity here because of, you know, this perceived idea that the, what is it called? Imperfections are greater than what they are in reality. It's like it gives it that power if you don't accept the imperfections. Here, this swarm of light, there's supposed to be like bugs in this old jack-o'-lantern, and this kind of indicates like inner light or coming together with others for inner light. I'm not too sure about that one. This talking skull, there's this library here, and it's supposed to indicate like wisdom and knowledge. With this Reaper here, I believe this has to do with like loss. It's also similar to the death card in tarot. Here with this toad, you've got these like imaginary rabbits and fish around the toad, and I think this has to do with like imagination, creativity. This vampire card has to do with like embracing your sensuality, sexuality, and loving every part of yourself. With this werewolf card, it's about recognizing the duality within yourself, more tame versus animalistic, good and bad. Will-o'-the-wisp has to do with protection. We've got this symbol here, protection. And then you have here the witch maiden, the witch matron, and the witch crone. So here the maiden has to do with like innocence and learning. Then the matron has to do with like more kind of mastering your skills. Again, another card that's kind of like the magician. And this witch crone has to do with like being an expert in what you do and whether to share that with others or teach others. So kind of like a little bit of the high priestess and hermit energies. And then here you have this zombie card, and this has to do with like you've got these other zombies in the background and basically connecting with people, like connecting with your tribe and getting support from others.